Hello and welcome to another Fallout Equestria review. This is a re-recording of chapter 10 and 11. Uh, I don't know where those recordings went. So, yeah, we looked for them. I looked for them. I did a full MKV search and they have just straight up disappeared. It's kind of weird though, because I would have thought all of the files would have been lost, not just this one, but for whatever reason, this one just decided to like op and go somewhere else. So this is a re-recording. Unfortunately, like it's not going to be the same as the previous episode. Me and Afterglow both agreed that it was a decent episode, and we had a lot to say, but it's just forever lost of time. Like it's just gone. It's GG. It's over. It's Soj over. From now on, though, besides holding it on my hard drive, I'm gonna be uploading these on YouTube privately, just so I can have the raw audio, just so this doesn't happen ever again. I know people out there probably like, oh, why weren't you doing that before? Well, again, I'd never had this issue before of losing an MKV file that just, again, up and disappeared. It's weird. It happens. It is what it is. So, re-recording, yapping aside. Like I said before, this is Enclave, and I'm joined with my host, Afterglow.
Man, I bet Little Pip hacked into your computer and deleted the file.
Probably, knowing her. She didn't want to be, like...
We talk a lot of shit on her.
We do talk a lot of smack on her. She probably did hack because we're talking a lot of smack on her girlfriend. So, I don't put it past her. Yeah, I don't put it past her. I don't put it past her. So, chapter 10, course corrections. I don't know why it's like I don't know why it's like labeled as like a class for, college/high school, but yeah, course correction. Yeah. Got anything to say with it?
I'm definitely giving Little Pip some course correction, all right.
Okay, buddy. You want to start?
I'm sure I made that exact same joke last time.
Yeah, you always say the same damn joke.
It's always fun.
Yeah, okay, bud. You want to go, or you want me to start saying some stuff?
Are we getting to the chapter already?
Mm-hmm. I mean, what else are we going to talk about? Dr. Disrespect getting outed for liking minors? Like...
You just dated this video so damn hard.
Go ahead, if you want to go. I have notes, too.
Yeah, but you're the one who probably remembers it better. You like these chapters. You do this one.
Okay. Well, as a disclaimer, Afterglow refused to listen/read the chapters because, he's like, I don't want to do it. We already did it before. So
I still got my notes. Shut up.
Okay. Well, all right. Yapping aside. So from the previous chapter, they find a mega spell in Silver Bell's barn, which is no good. Not really sure what the correlation of this is compared to the games. I would only assume that this is like a little reference to Megaton, probably. But I don't... It's so weird, right? There's just this random mega spell in this barn. Like, it's not in a silo. It's what?
We hate finding undetonated warheads in the family barn.
Yeah, you really hate to see it. And it's just weird because it's just there. Like, I would have thought differently if there was like maybe some like if there were some signs of military activity/government activity, if it was in a silo, or something. But the way it's described, like it's just in the barn. So it's like, how did it even get there? And I mean, I don't know much about ordnance, all that, but I could only assume that something as sensitive as that, if it were to get hit by anything, it would just go kaboom. So, yeah. What's your take on that first part of like the chapter just starting up straight up like, oh, there's a mega spell in the barn?
Well, actually, we can't get into this for a while, but that mega spells need to be like activated manually. They don't just like go up, as far as I remember. But that doesn't have like the second to last chapter, so
Well, I think Calamity kind of explains from his knowledge about it, which is also like, how do you know about that? Like, I get it, you're from
He
the,
could be talking out his ass for all we know.
yeah, like I get it, you're from the Enclave and everything, but you're just some rando. It's not like, even even me, it's like I don't know how nukes necessarily work. All I know is that there's some type of like reaction that splits the atom and just goes kaboomy. But this isn't like an actual like nuke or something. It's a mega spell. There's like other things going on. So yeah, that happens. Railright from New Appaloosa has a word with Little Pip, and I think you corrected me from the last time we did this recording because I think I skipped too far ahead. But yeah, he has a little talk with her because the loss of the train, the loss of his buddies, as well as other, New Appaloosa citizens. So he's not really that happy about it. And I think this is probably like the rare times where I guess you can say Little Pip is vilified from an area. Not like in a way where it's like, NCR slash, Caesar Legion is sending out patrols to take you out, but she's just not welcomed. She's just not
If
welcome.
only the NCR was that base. Can you please stop being mean to the NCR?
Leave my big government alone. Um, but yeah, so that happens. Um, Derpy though, or Ditsy do, right? Because we keep jumping name to name for whatever reason. Uh,
Bright Eyes,
yeah. Well,
Muffin.
she still wants to do business with Little Pip. So I guess the only compromise Railright was gonna have with Little Pip was like, okay, you could do business with Ditsy Do, but like only at the, in front of the gate. You can't come in. You can't do any of that because we don't want you here. Which is like, it's still like doesn't matter because they're already bad blood with the slavers. So why would it matter if she was outside the gate or a couple steps in? I don't think it really matters. So you do what you want with that information as well. Um, Silverbell leaves to New Appaloosa because that's the only good part, I guess, that Little Pip knows at the time. Leaves everything behind, the museum, the mega spell. Well, okay, did I miss something? Did they ever do anything with this mega spell?
I'm pretty sure someone mentions that someone will do something about it, and it's not really clarified what do or what they will do to it.
So it's
But
just
I'm not remembering.
so it's just there.
I guess so, man. The bomb is completely safe.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess. Uh so yeah, that's pretty much it for all the talky part for the beginning because we always have to have talks and stuff like that. Um we get into another fight with some raiders and
You forgot something already, Chief.
what besides getting the recipe for the party time mitats?
Yeah, that too. Thanks again, Calamity.
Hmm.
We're getting hooked on him.
What else did I miss?
I think that's the only thing I've heard.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean that is pretty important. She gets the party time mitats from Silverbell right before she
It's
leaves.
Mintal, my
Or
good man, because we can't just call them
Mintals.
Fallout Camps. They gotta be dumb as shit.
Okay. Mintals. So yeah, she gets those. They go off to their own thing, and they also just go on a little hike. They're exhausted, and they finally come up to a raider encampment. As per usual, Velvet tries to talk, doesn't work. They're getting blasted by the raiders, and they're saying horrible things as raiders do. Uh, let's see. Got my notes here. Yeah. Velvet once again tries to talk to raiders. Doesn't go that well. Yeah, so that's what I have written down right there. They have a firefight. Um, it's also, I think, probably the few rare times where little Pip can't really use the magic to its full potential, her full ability rather, because she's exhausted. So I kind of like that because it just puts, it puts a character like on their back foot, and you gotta have to,
Back off. You're not. You can't get it right.
Okay, I'm just speaking in general here, but that's just something I've always enjoyed and I liked. Let's say you have a character, human or otherwise, really good at close quarters combat, so they have a sword, a mace, whatever. You make things interesting if let's say there's like a couple chapters or something. If they get injured, like they can't use their main arm or something, they can't use their they can't properly guard, they can't properly swing or whatever, so they have to adapt. And especially in like these situations where it's like the equestrian wasteland, you don't really have many areas where you could just straight up like rest the injury, especially being the games of Fallout, and also just the stories. There's always like so much things you can do because these things are often time sensitive. So it's interesting having characters like adapt to their surroundings and situations. So I think it's probably the one of the first couple times we um, noticed that little Pip is using the weapons with her mouth, which is I think something we talked about last time, if I remember correctly. Um,
But how fucking stupid it is.
yeah, like it to me, it doesn't make all that much sense. And again, I really wish we had not lost the original recording because we went like deep into it. But I'm kind of remembering some of the stuff we talked about because I have some notes from then too.
Hey, let me
Uh,
just shoot the. Let me just shoot the son off shotgun with my mouth. Hey, where do my teeth
yeah.
go?
Yeah, it's almost like I don't care how strong of a creature you are like overall, like physically. I get it, like earth ponies are really strong. Your neck and your teeth are probably those certain areas that you don't want to be putting too much stress on, especially your neck. Because we've all like slept wrong before, and we all know how that feels to like, go on to the next day and like, oh my God, my neck. You can only imagine how your neck would feel if you were using, your teeth, mouth as like your main like handle, right? To use a weapon. So it to me just never made sense. In this universe for characters to be using their mouths um, again as a as
All right,
as
all
the
right.
primary handle for weapons. So what do you want to say?
It's my turn to yap now.
Go ahead.
So, I think this is. I don't know if this was an early chat or what we talked, or this lost recording, or we talked about
Hmm.
what we think the combat for each the three races should be.
Yes, we did talk about that previously, but we went into super detail I think in this recording because I have the notes right here. I found them earlier. So go ahead if you want to start off.
Well, for unicorns are really the only ones using guns because magic. So that would make them probably like the most dangerous for long range combat. And I'm not sure if Earth ponies or Pegasus would be better as brawlers. Because I find it funny that one of the Enclave's main strats in this hypothetical one would be that Pegasus just like lift an Earth pony up like 50 feet up the ground and just drop them and let them
Hmm.
splat.
Hmm.
But Earth ponies could also just be like rush downs, I guess, where they just run in and buck your fucking head off and just
Yeah.
snap your neck or like give you deadly concussions.
Hmm. Yeah, for here I put that down too. I put like there's gonna be like pros and cons for each of the pony races, and also includes the other like minor species as well. I wouldn't say minor species, but like at least in terms of the story, like zebras, griffins, and all that. Um,
Well,
I'm ha-
zebras already are hoof to hoof combat, but that's what
yeah, we don't really talk about them for a while. Um, which is weird, right? Because like, why is it that they have a Kaiser yet they don't even use like World War I German tactics? It's so weird, but it is what it is. I really wish they had more. I really wish they had more imagination when they came to like writing this stuff down. Because I mean, you could have used some like in real life references, and if you were to say, oh, the Kaiser and this and that, then like I would have expected more like World War I like references and stuff like that, especially for like the zebras. Like, oh, would they have like shock troops? Would they have tanks and this and that? But like they don't really do that. So it's just I feel like they just threw that word in just to throw it in. Opposite of princesses. Oh, Kaiser. Anyways, think about that when you're writing your story. So unicorns, I did also, yeah, they're gonna be using more of like the fancier stuff. So rifles, things that require more like what is it? I guess you could
There was
say
like a if there was like a battleground, you'd put the unicorns in the back.
yeah, like they're gonna be the long range fighters for sure. Like they can do close quarters, but like they can also use more, I guess you could say like delicate stuff. So maybe they'll be able to use like swords and maces and stuff like that, where it's like they're more to use like over like as a human, right? We when we're like hitting something with a bat or a sword or a machete, whatever, gladius, anything more fancy. I'm just throwing stuff out there. It's overhead slashes, stabs, turns, whatever. That's something more for like a unicorn, right? Because they're able to use those motions because of magic. But for an earth pony, I think the weapons would be more fixed. So they would be using spears, they would be using lances, they would be using, things that don't require, as again, my a human perspective, like over the head type of stuff, or more like things that are fancier. So again, unicorns would be using rifles, sniper rifles, maybe not heavier weapons. That I still believe that earth ponies should be using. Go ahead.
Yeah, like they could plant a turret on the ground, just like get behind it and aim it and shit.
Yeah, like a literally like they would be like a Tachanka, right? LMG mounted and loaded type of soldier, right? Where either they have like a maybe a servo arm that assists them or something. It sets up the weapon. They're like fixed
You and your
fighters.
damn service arm, how would they control it with their mouths? Then we're getting to the same
No, it's
issue.
on their backpack.
All
It's
right,
like
but
a
how do they make it move? Say they want the arm to grab something.
so
How do they physically function to make it move?
if it's like the future how Fallout is, there could be like a Neuralink where it's connected.
Oh yeah, that worked out really well. Nothing can go wrong with that.
Well, I mean, that could be a good subplot for things to happen later on like either how they went crazy or it just didn't work that well, so it was a very small unit, or it could be used in so many different ways. Again, these are just
The think
ideas.
tank wants a word with you.
What happened?
The think tank wants a word with you.
Okay, well, the think tank ain't around right now, at least in this story.
Oh,
Um,
that'd be cool if they were.
that would be, but I mean, that's more like Fallout New Vegas, and this is like again, I think we've mentioned this before. This is like all the Fallout's kind of mixed in and one,
Yeah,
and
Aurora Blues wasn't out to steal from yet.
so that it is what it is. But that's how I would see it. Or fine, you don't want to use a servo arm. You don't want to have that. You could have a fire team where it's a unicorn and earth pony. The unicorn helps set up the weapon for the earth pony to use, and the unicorn just provides support in order for the earth pony not to get flanked or shot from above, whether they're fighting griffins and dragons, whatever, right? We're just tossing things out there for you to use for your story. um
We could even
and
have the unicorn like help set up like a little magical shield as barriers for the Earth Pony.
yeah, and there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do. Like it again, these are just ideas. We're just giving you guys the most bare bone stuff. You guys can build up on it. I have stuff for my own story that I'm gonna use. Maybe you guys might see that in the future, but that's just like some of the stuff I was thinking about when it came to like weapons and stuff like that. It's the same thing with even Pegasi, right? I see them more as like skirmishers. They're fast, they're agile, they're in there. I would give them, some machine guns. I would give them carbines. Also some melee weapons that they could use. Maybe not on the wings, because even in the show, the wing is very sensitive, so that's kind of dumb. But like, just spiked hooves, or they're able to have like something that they're able to use. Kind of like a hit and run. Kind of like a hit and run. So there's just so much that you can possibly use and do rather than just like, oh, it's just a mouth gun. So I think that's just a challenge when it comes to that kind of stuff. And it just, it's a challenge for a writer, of course, when like things are just used so much, because we think as a human. So as a human trying to like you draw slash write things that aren't human isn't that easy. I think even Lauren Faust herself, and if I can find the video, I'll try to like link it to this video. But when she was coming up with the ideas of the ponies, she was even on the side of like, look, the earth ponies and Pegasi, since they don't use magic, they're not going to be using a hoof to carrying around a lantern, so they can see, or using it as a flashlight. No, they're going to put it in their mouths. So it's going to be funny because every time they have, the lantern in their mouths, they're going to be talking funny because, they're having it in their mouths. So, yeah, that's just kind of how I see it. You can have them in different roles. I mean, we're thinking a lot like, battle slash military, I guess, but you can have them in different roles, all that kind of stuff.
We could have so many subclasses. It's great.
Yeah. So there's just so much you can do rather than like what some of the early stuff is. And again, like I get it, it's early Fallout Equestria. Everyone's just throwing ideas, on the wall, seeing what sticks. But there's like other stories that have happened even before Fallout Equestria where ponies are like using weapons with their hooves somehow, or even the mouth stuff. There's plenty of art that goes way back that predates Fallout Equestria that shows like them using their mouths, like with a sword or an axe or whatever. And I'm sorry, like that's just to me that's just kind of dumb, And we can't just use the excuse of, oh, it's magic, it's just not, it just doesn't work. So, yeah, uh, I think that aside, maybe we might bring it up later in the future, but that aside, they have their fight. Little Pip is using a weapon in her mouth for I think the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, and all the while she can't really use magic to her potential, she's still able to use sats and takes out one of the raider ponies, which unfortunately hits Calamity in the wing. So that wasn't fun. And I think we
Are you
talked
team
about
killing fucktard?
yeah. And then like another thing too that I mentioned before in like the previous notes, and I even have them on this one, we keep running into this common trope of this story of always being low on medical supplies. So Velvet has to use so much medical supplies in this case because, Calamity gets his wing shot, and then little Pip falls down pretty dang hard on her shoulder. So she has to use like a lot of medical supplies, and then afterwards, again, this common trope slash crutch in writing is like, oh, we're low on medical supplies, guys, and this and that, which later on in the chapter is not even gonna matter, but we're still not done yet.
Hold on.
What's
I got
up?
things to tell you about this fight.
Well, there's more. That's why I said, go ahead if you want to mention it.
Well, we also get we lose the funny where Pip's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I got to shoot all these ponies," and she just starts blasting. As you know, that was quick from the last time she had a fight where they were like literal children about to be slaughtered, and she still felt bad.
Yeah. No, that was pretty funny because she's blasting, but she's missing like every shot. So it's kind of like wasting ammo. I wouldn't give her
Let's see
anything.
you shoot a gun from your mouth.
Oh, well, I guess, but humans aren't supposed to. Just how I'm sure like ponies aren't supposed to use weapons from their mouths, but hey, it is what it is. But
And also, they fly in a wooden apple cart, and they get shot from below, and somehow it doesn't just rip right through the wood and kill them. But that's fun.
yeah, they're getting hit a lot. And like I said, it's just one of those like, again, writing cliches or something like, oh my god, this thing went wrong. The Pegasi got hit in the wing. They went, falling down. So yeah, that's that fight. It continues though because I guess they didn't clear out the whole area, and little Pip, she rolls down some nades down a staircase, and that was gross because all she hears is a what the, and it just explodes. So
P21 moment.
yeah, she blows away some raiders. So there you go. After that, I mean, they pretty much clear it out. They get healed up. um, they talk about seeding, right? Cloud seeding and all that for whatever reason.
Oh, that kind of seating. I got excited for a second. What?
Yeah, like cloud seeding. Like it just gets like these things just get tossed around in these chapters. I just don't understand. But kind of like what you said earlier, I don't think K-Cat knew that it was just going to be this large story. Like maybe it was only going to be like 12, 20 chapters, but like now they're just adding a bunch of random lore stuff. So if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
I mean, it's played off like he's joking at the end, so I don't know what to make of it.
Hmm. Well, yeah, because like we were talking about it earlier, how like how hot dogs somehow lasted for 200 plus years, and why are hot dogs made out of
That's in the
meat?
future. I don't know what you're talking about. You're
Well,
creating a
yeah,
time paradox.
yes, but the audience
They
knows
won't
that
hear
this
that
is
until after
a.
this.
Well, yes, but the audience knows that this is a re-recording, so they already know.
Yeah, that's a little teaser for like another hour later.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's just something. But they do that. Uh, just gets tossed in there like other things. You know, he explains how like mega spells are like used, which again, like you said, we don't know if that's actually how they're used or not. So again, just random lore bits just get like dumped in these moments. This is the moment where they later on they after their little hike, you know, after they rest and all that, they go on a hike. They go and see a little settlement, and this is when they finally meet Godina for the first time. And they
Just call her God, you coward.
okay, God. So they meet God, um, and also like other ponies. Well, when you say they meet God, that means like they freaking died. Like not that. Yeah, like I
You're the one
agree.
who phrased it like that.
Yeah, sure. But they see all these other ponies that are like worse, you know, worse for wear. Like there's missing body parts, you know, infections, like all this like horrible things, right? Which
And of course, Pip sees Griff and is like, damn, she's hot. So Pip confirmed furry.
yeah, besides the furry moment, again, remember that line that Velvet had earlier about, oh, we're really low on medical supplies. We have to be careful and this and that. Well, that gets like thrown to the wind because she uses last said medical supplies on these like individuals that, you know, have that they just met, which I'm a humanitarian. I don't like seeing people in pain. I really don't. But even I know it's like if I were in a group in a survival setting, even I would be like, dude, we're always in really bad spots, bad situations. We're firefights, long time without like being resupplied, et cetera, et cetera. Like I'm sorry, but like I have to care for my group first. Yet she just uses all of that and whatever else she has, and yeah, so
I hate bleeding hearts.
I do too. But what the worst ones are the fake ones, and I've met plenty of people like that in real life. Um, Besides that, last thing is that they have a conversation about Deadeye, which again we've mentioned this before. I hate the whole red eye, Deadeye, you know,
No relation.
pink eyes. Like, dude, there's other like stuff you can describe them as,
Pink
but whatever.
eyes.
Yeah. Um, God wants to, take him out, and she can't do it directly because haha, funny contracts, and all of a sudden Griffins have a honor code. Um, so she sends little Pip on a little recon mission, which leads us to chapter 11, factions.
You're missing so much. You did it again.
What
You
did I
fool.
do?
You've done it again. You
I'm
skipped
I'm
like,
just I'm
bro.
just skimming over like their meeting. Like what else? Like you want to mention the fact that like they wanted like a
She
piece of
gets the
insurance or
shattered hoof
something.
before the chapter even ends.
She gets the
All right, let
shatter
me,
hoof,
let me.
but like it's more detailed on the next chapter. Like all they do is
Yeah,
enter
but
the facility.
bro, this rarity man is it forgetting that this is where she finds the rarity statue at the end of this chapter.
Oh, I thought she found it in chapter 11. My bad.
Nope.
Go ahead then.
And Velvet does get taken, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, she's
But that means less Velvet, which I'm always for.
yeah.
But
Go
yeah, she
for it
just
then.
goes in. She just stumbles upon it. I'll remember how it happens. That's how she finds every statue. She just stumbles upon it.
She
And then she sims for
is
rarity, like, oh, she hot.
she finds it in the safe, remember? She finds it in the safe.
Yeah, but why was it in me?
So if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's trying to look for stuff, and one of the things like on a side quest that she was doing was to be looking for records, I believe, because she's still trying
She
to
did
come
the
up.
optional objective.
Yeah, well, she's still trying to come up with a plan to like meet DJ Pone, and she still has that like, oh, if I can find a way in there, and bring something, then yeah, like, so that was a side quest, unless I'm totally wrong.
Also, you
There's other.
forgot you forgot the incorrect anatomy count.
Oh, well, we're still talking about the chapter though. That's when she finds a statuette. She opens the locker. There's multiple, um, like holotapes in there. So she starts to listen to them, but it doesn't go into detail until the next chapter of like what's on them. She finds the records and she finds like other documents and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. Like that's why I didn't really mention it, because in chapter 11 that's when it goes into detail. But I mean, she does find the statue. She does simp for the statue. Um,
You would too.
I mean, yeah, it's a rarity statue. It's pretty cool. I have two rarity ones like right here on my bookshelf.
It even comes with a little bit extra soul.
Yes.
Hardcore enjoys will get that joke.
So
We love soul jars.
I love soul jars, but
What? But yeah,
maybe,
incorrect anatomy count is from at one point they call a griffin's claws hooves, which I mean 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Am I right?
uh,
You wrong one, but hey, at least it didn't call them feet, right?
true. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it. They find the statue. Uh, we mentioned it before. We would just wish that there were other, like, you know, there were other characters. So that's pretty much it. Um, yeah,
Wow.
I know,
I
right?
was good luck with this next chapter. I got to do this, and I was so disinterested in the recordings, I didn't even bother putting what happened to them.
But that's pretty much it. Uh, I guess the statues are similar to the special stat. So, be
You mean the
unwavering.
bobblehead?
Yeah, all bobblehead. So be unwavering.
That's a mid-ass one for rarity.
Well, yeah, I mean, compared to the one that they're going to like see for freaking Pinkie Pie, like hers is like a full on sentence.
Yeah, but that's Pinky. At least that makes sense.
Sure. So that's it
You,
for that chapter.
what,
Chapter 11.
what? We aren't even gonna talk about how we thought about the chapter.
Uh, well, what do you want to say?
Mid, mid.
Mid?
That's all I got nothing to say.
You think it's mid?
I mean,
Man.
things happened a little bit. But that's about it.
Well, yeah, the plot progressed. There's an injury, which was already like we were expecting that, because every couple chapters there has to be an injury. Some type of sense of urgency has to be created. Um, what else?
Also, plot reasons for why Calamity can't fly for a couple chapters.
Yeah, plot reasons. What else am I thinking here? It was okay. I mean, if I'm gonna rate it out of 10, probably just be like a 6, kind of meh. Nothing really to write home about.
5,
5.
most mid,
Yeah,
super mid.
yeah, nothing. You're right. Nothing really happens. I mean, just kind of like the subject matter we were talking about earlier, what we would do differently. But other than that, though, it's just kind of whatever. All right. Well, chapter 11, factions. We got a little bit of a blast from the past from a character that gets shoehorned in there. You want to start off, or you want me to go?
I mean, you can tell me with recordings.
Okay. Well, this is the part that I actually did enjoy, and I said that before in the previous recording. So Little Pip begins to listen to the holotapes of this facility, and we learn rather quickly that the one that is recording is Diamond Tiara. She was speaking to her best friend Silver Spoon back in what is it, Manhattan, I believe, right? It was in Manhattan.
Probably.
It wasn't Ponyville, but it was Manhattan. I believe it was Manhattan. Anyways, let's move on. So she was talking to her. Connection ceases. Notices a shake in her environment. So that's not good. normally not good when your internet connection slash phone connection decides to cut and then there's a massive shake. Um, the
If only
guards.
she had used NordVPN, she would have been able to.
Oh yeah, and our sponsor for today, yeah, that'll be the day if we ever get a sponsor. Besides White Castle, uh, yeah. So the guards describe seeing it, and we get a description of the mega spells, and it's not like a typical nuke. It's not like a bright flash of light. It's like the opposite. It's black, black green, and there's still the shake and stuff like that. But there's also they said there was like an unnatural sound to it, which I wish they would have gone into a bit more detail about it. But that's all they describe it as. It's like, oh, there's an unnatural sound to it. So that's you know odd and also unnerving. But that could just be the frequency or whatever. So she talks about that a bit, describes it. The guards just run, as many would in this situation. I could only imagine that um, a lot of services, whether it be like first responders, military, or just government in general, would more than likely collapse, not just because of the weight of the situation, but at least in our perspective as humans, right? We're gonna care more for our families and loved ones rather than like a bunch of random people. Don't get me wrong, there's gonna be plenty of people that have,
Prisoners.
well, yeah, well, we'll get to that. Um, they're going to care about more about their families and loved ones rather than like a bunch of random people. Um, in this case, ponies. Um, and don't get me wrong, there's always going to be like certain individuals that are going to be like duty bound and like wanting to help as much as possible. But you can only do so much if, let's say, your original staff was about 100 plus individuals and now it's been reduced to about 20. And you're dealing with thousands of people that are coming in seeking help. Right away, you notice that even in the real game of Fallout, the reason why the military collapsed was because there was so much desertions that they couldn't keep order and just things went to hell. So similar thing happened here where the prison that they're at, uh, the guards, run away. And there's a failsafe for the prison, which is very interesting. That it was gonna close, right? It's gonna go on lockdown at a certain time. So Diamond Tiara has to make this like conscious decision whether to go to the control room, set all the prisoners free, unfortunately losing the time where everything closes down. So I'm assuming all the windows closed, the doors are shut tight and everything else. And, she's stuck in there with the prisoners, or she could just escape because there's not enough time. She decides to allow the prisoners to escape. And I don't think it would have mattered because again everything's locked down. I mean, the only thing that I can think that you can possibly do in this situation is maybe break a wall or dig under the prison, but I don't know how prisons are laid out. I can only assume that um, you're not really meant to escape them. So unless you got some power tools or something, you ain't leaving.
Yeah,
So
but it's not meant to withstand like 1,000 ponies are rushing in one door and trying to beat it down for like weeks until they starve. Eventually, they get through, right?
I mean, you could say the same thing with the vault doors, though, because you can go all the way back to
All right, but
chapter
those are
one.
made to withstand nuclear blast. The prison doors were not.
Okay, well, we don't know. Point is, she did that. She uh realizes, oh man, I put all these ponies in here. Well, not like her personally, but like she kept them all. And they don't really like that. They don't know she's there, but being that she's part of, the government, the system, one of the guards, they're not gonna like that. So even she realizes like, oh my God, like this is bad because even if they were to escape, there's nuclear devastation outside, but in here, there's not enough supplies, there's not enough water. They're eventually going to starve, which leads to another horrible thing.
Man, you weren't
She,
doing like all the recordings at once, huh? Like they're like spread out across the chat.
well, the whole time, little Pip's just exploring the prison and just kind of making minor like notes about what she's finding and this and that. She's not even, um, you know, which is kind of like not the best thing to do because first of all, you don't know what's in the prison. I know she's in Deadeye's territory, but like you don't know what else is in there because unless they full on cleaned it out, like in Fallout, no place is really safe. There's always going to be creatures, ghouls, raiders, even someone that looks normal might not be all that normal. They might stab you in the back once you turn around. But I mean, if I'm going too fast, you want to cut me off, go for it. What's up?
Oh yeah, just don't forget that a fucking cover of Mad World plays during in the middle of these recordings.
Oh yeah.
I love 20 Unlimited.
uh, so
I want
she's
to go back.
I want to go back to, trust me, even if I could just go back 4 years, I'm pretty sure I would have a better life. But hey, it is what it is. Um, so that's going on, describing all the horrible things leads to the end point, which is they turn on each other as individuals probably would. Um, since they ran out of food, you can only assume what they're going to do to each other. So they pick the weakest link. She hears the mayor screaming. Um, we all know what happens there, and
They all got the cannibal perk, yeah.
yeah, they all got the cannibal perk right there. Um, she makes a sound in the bathroom, which you know, she had barricaded
Why
herself
are you
in.
locked in the bathroom?
She locks herself in
Talking to
there.
me?
I mean, she locks herself in there because one, there was an infinite water supply. There was, I think that was the closest area that she can get in, um, and that's pretty much it. I think there was a medical box in there, but it wouldn't really do much. She didn't have any food or anything else. She had water, but I think I mean, I don't know for horses, but at least for humans, we can only go about 3-ish days without water, and then we just peel over. Food, on the other hand, depending on, it just depends individual to individual, but like they say like you can last like a couple weeks without food compared to water. So that happens. It makes a sound because she gets horrified from hearing the mayor screaming and begging for mercy, and obviously they did not care. She makes a noise. They hear it. They know it's one of the guards, or at least one of the individuals that had them locked up. So they're not too happy about that, and they start, trying to break the door down. She says, "You're not gonna take me." What does she do? She breaks the glass. Uh, Self injures herself, since again we don't want to get in trouble by YouTube.
The
And
final solution.
yeah, so she commits unalive. It's slow, it's painful. She's going a little, of course you have loss of blood, so she has an altered mental status. She's reminiscing about stuff, kind of sad because you really think about it, like how I said before in a previous episode we recorded. These are just perspectives of, like, you can say, like, everyday, ponies, everyday people or whatever. So she remembers her parents. She wishes she could see them again. She remembers Silver Spoon, wishes she could see her again. All the while saying, like, "You guys aren't going to take me." And then she starts playing with her bodily fluids, and that's it. It just goes quiet.
That sounded worse than what you could have said there.
Yeah, well,
But
I
yeah,
mean, we can't
uh,
talk. We can't say certain words because we have a freaking warning.
little bro thinks he's Huffington.
Huh. So that's that. I think I yapped for a long time, so you take the mic for a little bit.
Well, once again, those recordings just spread across the whole chat, and you just speed ran that shit. She doesn't get to that part where she does all the lighting to like that very end. But oh well, I don't really care. Down Tiara sucks. She's a fat bitch. Uh, it was pretty funny when she crippled that made fun of that cripple. She didn't do the crippling. Maybe I don't know what she did in this story. I don't think she ever gets brought up again.
No,
But
Diamond Tiara never gets brought up again. No.
classic.
Yeah,
Do we even know what she did at the prison when she's like
she was like
officer there?
I think she was just like an administrator. I don't think she was the warden, but I know I mean, she could have been, but I know she was like a higher up. Again, prisoners know who's who. If he ain't in the jumpsuit or whatever uniform, they're probably not going to be happy that one of the people, or ponies rather, in the situation was keeping them in there, and all that other horrible things were going on. But
Also, I think you got a part wrong. I'm pretty sure she could have lifted the lockdown, but he's like, "Oh no, all the prisoners are good out. I don't even know what they did when they might just drop dead the second they step out anyway." So she chooses to just keep
oh,
it on lockdown.
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right there. Yeah. Which I mean, it wouldn't even matter because it's like a building. It's not like it's, mm, it's not like it's a vault or a stable or whatever. Like it's just going to be another building. The radiation or whatever harmful stuff is eventually going to get through, you know.
I can only
You're
assume someone cleaned out all those bodies. I don't know if there would just be bodies everywhere, but
Yeah. No, it's mentioned in the chapter which we recorded before the re-record that there are skeletons upon skeletons on the backstage. So that's where they piled up all the
and then lazy bastards didn't even take them outside, just throw them behind the stage.
No, I guess not. I guess not. Yeah, they just put them all there. Kind of creepy, but I mean, it is what it is.
That's Raiders for you.
Yeah. Yep.
But I don't really care. I felt nothing. I'm
Yeah.
glad she's dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
I'm sorry.
this
I'm glad her brain seeks doing critical function to the rest of her body.
Yeah. I
But
mean that.
now we can actually get to the shit, the plot that matters.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I've been
So
talking way too much.
she goes up to Deadeye and just like, "Hey, yo, what's good?" And then he's like, "All right." I can't remember really what he says before that, but he gives her a quest to see if she's doing a psyop. So he sends her to deliver a letter to some dude, and then she's like, "All right, sure," and she leaves, and she goes, and then on the radio, as always, the only thing that ever plays on the radio is DJ Phone 3 talking about the Lightbringer, that stable dweller. She sure is doing things. And she says that Pip died in the crash, and Pip's like, "Oh, I don't know if she actually thinks I'm dead or if I'm sorry, he. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That never happened. He thinks that she actually died or he's just lying so no one comes after her. Because, the slavers might be mad. I don't know who's seeing this. Because, like, wouldn't it, how do people know what happened? Like, she connected. Wouldn't it be, like really, really far? Right?
Yeah. Well, what is it? We'll find out really late on how a certain pony knows about so many things.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about that. But I don't know why
Yeah.
that would be a thing in the middle of nowhere. I'm just saying, oh, well,
Yeah.
that might not still not make sense. But I remember it by then, so feel free to
Probably. So that happens. Correct me if I'm wrong, but and I'll edit this if this is an issue. I'll edit it out. But isn't this the same chapter 2 where she delivers the note to God and then she opens it and it has like the whole plans of the attack on like her territory and stuff like that, and then she's like, "Oh my God, like we have to do something about it."
I
And
don't think it's too small. I think it's just someone else. Odie sent it to blood.
oh yeah, well she opens it, right? Because she finds
Yeah, she
out.
opens it and then tells her later.
Yeah, she opens it, still delivers it. So okay, I'll get rid of that. So yeah, she opens it, still delivers it.
How she really steal it? Did the guy that she gave the letter to not immediately go there? Like, they said it was like open before she gave it. Wouldn't that be like the test, really?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
But we
it's
don't talk about it.
yeah, we don't talk about those like little details that I guess people would, because little Pip is basically making the assumption that these individuals never spoke to each other, which is you're praying to a higher power, hoping that if they were sending letters to each other, and if it looks like there's a deviation or something to it, then there's obviously going to be problems. There's going to be issues. but it is what it is.
Oh wait, bro, she used the magic letter reseal spell.
I
It's
mean,
fine.
yeah, that could have been a thing. I mean, honestly, I would have believed it a lot more if that was like said, but it is what it is. Um, what else was I gonna say? There was that, and then there was also the fact of what was it? There was that, and there was also the fact of spilling the beans, because I believe this is the same chapter that like you said, she does tell God afterwards, and then she goes back to take something from Deadeye's locker. Do you remember what she took?
It was the ledger.
The ledger. Okay.
But the thing that happens is, like, she goes and tells him that she delivered that, and he's like, okay, cool, bye. And then he just leaves his office, and his guards just leave for no reason. And little Pip somehow does not think that this is the most obvious trap in the world because
Yeah.
he goes for it. So he pops the stealth block and just goes for a illusion store. But very awkward scene where she's literally standing on his desk and someone doesn't notice. Because, like, they don't make you fully invisible. Like, if you were 2 feet in front of someone with a stealth block, they would see you eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not supposed to be like the end all be all of invisibility. Like you will see a glare. You will see a glare, first of all. Second of all, just because they can't see you doesn't mean they can't hear you. So,
And smell you.
uh,
Stinky man. She hasn't bathed in like a week.
yeah, I mean, it's just I understand what they were trying to do, but don't put it so much on the nose. That's what I'm trying to say. If you're gonna have a scene like this, have them hide in the corner or something, you know. And I guess the only thing that saves her from this bad situation, because Deadeye already like has his assumptions that she's not really on his side, um, is what is it again? Oh yeah, one of the guards rushes into his office and saying like, oh my gosh, like we have an issue, we have a problem, there's a intruder, and like he's just being like smug about it and like,
A red
oh,
spot in the base.
basically, like he's being like smug about it. He's like, oh really, is it like like a little unicorn mare? And like the only thing that breaks like his suspicion um is the fact like, oh no, it's not a unicorn mare, it's a Pegasus. So I don't know how.
Look, imagine your reaction to seeing that a Pegasus is in your base. Like for all you know, the Enclave is scoping you out.
Yeah, well, not even just that, but like I don't even know how Calamity knew uh when and where to attack. Um
I don't think he did. I think he literally gets caught like hiding under a bed or some shit. That was completely
oh,
uncoordinated. That was sheer happenstance.
okay. So
Well, I regret it.
yeah, it just happens. So that
Pip's luck 10 kicked in.
yeah, luck 10. That just eliminates all the suspicion off of little Pip. So she's able to leave, able to get out. Um, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much the chapter. They escape, they go back,
They
knock,
get some sleep,
they
but
knock
not
out.
before some
Yeah,
Pip sipping for velvet, obligatory.
yeah. I mean, it's once again the common using the other crutch of this story of like sleep deprivation. Always using that as like you know, it's
She
this. It's
can't sleep in a bed that's owned, all right, bro? Come on.
I guess what is this, Minecraft?
No, that's just Fallout rules.
Yeah. So
At the
yeah,
bright side, every single injury you'll be healed up. Or maybe she's playing on hardcore mode. We don't know.
we don't know that. We don't know that. Well, that's pretty much it for that chapter. What'd you think about it?
Interesting enemy count is a big fat goose egg. Good job. You get it, bro.
Overall,
But
though,
yeah, it was alright though. I think the Demon Tiara stuff was trying a little too hard to get you some kind of emotion. I know. Say something about the Project Horizons enjoyer. Say something the author trying too hard to make you feel bad. But yeah, it was kind of funny, I guess. It was better than the last one, so it gets like a 6.
I think for me, it's it's like a 7.5, only because I liked the hollow tapes. Those are probably my
We
favorite
liked
parts.
hearing Nair's suffer. You heard it here first, folks.
No, not that much. It's not so much as that. It's just more of like just giving bits and pieces of what happened beforehand to that location specifically. You know, I have always liked that where it gives some of the story there rather than you just find this random holotape in this field and all of a sudden it's talking about, you know, what happened in this
Oh,
major city, even though it's like hundreds of miles away. I mean, yeah, you could make the argument of saying like, well, how did this thing get here and this and that, which can cause like some discussion and all that kind of stuff. But unless there's this random, vehicle or boxes laying around or whatever, yeah, we'll ask some questions then and there. But if there isn't, then it's just weird. But what were you saying? Sorry.
you like lore? Wait till you get to later chapters where it's nothing but lore drop for like 20,000 words.
Yeah.
Also, we need to do the P21 response.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and read that. Let me just
Which part is it in, man? I can't
so
remember.
this is part 5. Uh and this was before I was labeling them as chapters. So if I am yes, I believe this is chapters 8 and 9. So give me 1 second and I'll read this.
Are we reading the whole thing? Well, I'll look at you. Well, you're special. Isn't that like a blog post? Oh boy, I can't wait to speak about this for 10 minutes. If you haven't heard Podge twice, and just cover your ears.
Okay, well, this is from our part 5 review. And as per usual, if you want to engage with us, we will read your comments. Of course, they have to be relating to the story. You can't just put, oh, poo poo pee pee, oh, stinky. Yeah, we're not going to read that. But if
Yeah, I'm
it's,
gonna do that.
yeah, okay. But if it's like about the story, you have questions or anything like that, like by all means, go ahead and post them and we'll do our best of our ability to answer those questions. Um, so yeah, Wubway is one of our constant viewers, listeners rather, because there's nothing really being put on the screen. And we also had another comment from GS Random. So we'll go with the smaller response first before we go on to the other one. So this is for you, GS Random. Nice Colgate photo, by the way. So he says, it lives. I've been reading it after the call out of ones who like it and try to discuss it. Haven't really read it in tens of years. Not reading for a
And
long time in the start. Been needing the chapters discussed to pre-read before watching. Anyway, finally, with the show. Woo! So thank you. Uh, you're making me feel old. I mean, how? Oh man, how old is this story?
it's only like 14, 13, almost 14 years old now.
Oh man, in 4 years they have to sign up so they can legally vote and pay taxes. This is bad. Oh my god.
It's already in Congress, bro. The library, at least.
The Library of Congress. Yeah, this is just one of those stories that was so important that Congress had to put in their library. So,
Ironically enough, if the apocalypse happens, people will still be able to read it.
yep, you're not wrong there. So there was a certain part of the last episode that was, part 5 that was we were talking about it and saying like, oh, why is P21? Why do you like him so much and this and that? So Wubway decided to respond, and we again appreciate it. We'll read it to the best ability and we'll answer to the best ability. So at the 39:50 mark, I believe that's when the question's asked, and quote, yes, P21 is a I don't even know what that word is. Chromdigidioni. I don't know what that is.
All right, this is Slammer's alt. Oh, no wonder he's a tank.
But yeah, anyways, he's a dickhead, but after what he went through, it makes perfect sense. He starts off this story as a cripple, so he is in literal pain most of the time. He is used as a kith slave all his life. Plus, BJ, uh, yeah, did some horrible things to him and murked his lover in front of him. If anyone deserves to be
Based.
grumpy, needs to be a grumpy uh, MF, it's him. But slowly he warms up to BJ after he sees how she is trying to desperately, maybe neurologically, to be a good person despite her past, and because of that he finds her inspiring because he wants to move on as well. But like Glory said, he has had long-term repressed trauma for far longer than BJ, and well, that helped him cope with the reality of the wasteland far better than BJ. It also made him apathetic in many ways, uh, and just quietly grumpy. What is most important is that he is a believable character with justified reasons for his outlook and behavior, who is balanced out by BJ, Glory, and the rest of the cast. Also, he grows. Um, he reveals his dry sense of humor. He becomes more notable and selfless, and lives his life beyond the shackles of 99. I find his personality unlikable in many ways, but that is a part of his character that other characters acknowledge. So yeah, unlikable but not bad. So a good character that I like despite his flaws. And I don't know what you guys are on about. Everyone equally risks everyone's lives in Project Horizons. Glory is naive about the Enclave. Blackjack doesn't think. I don't know this character just yet. This is probably a lot further than I've gone into.
What's her name?
Uh, lack, lacking?
Lasune, I
Yeah,
think.
Lasure. I cannot say that name.
That's an
Yeah, I
alicorn.
can tell, is attached to the goddess. Rampage has multiple murderous personalities.
Based.
Scotch and Boo are really the only innocent ones, and P21 only wanted to spare U21 because he was a 99 male, and he was especially opposed to BJ killing him because she killed his. Yeah, or hold on. Yeah. And P21 only wanted to spare U21 because he was the only 99 male, and he was especially opposed to BJ murking him because she murked his lover and represented all the 99 security mares responsible for retiring the males. So, what do you say about that?
Anyway,
And don't be all cringy. What he actually wrote something. So, what do you think about that? I know it's not
all
a
right. So
Project
he
Horizons. I know it's not a Project Horizons thing, but we do talk about it too on the side note. So,
listen. He's already lost the argument because he's admitted that he is a dickhead. The fact that he is a well-written dickhead doesn't mean I don't like him anymore. That means he's just written to be unlikable. How's that
mhm.
any better?
Well, I mean, you could be an unlikable character, but at the same time too be, like that's your whole purpose.
I mean, Velvet is also written consistently to be a bitch, and I still hate her.
Yeah, but at least P21 does things. And like eventually, because I have gotten into the later chapters, he does start to help a lot more compared to like when eventually Velvet starts to shape up to the wasteland. I
If we're going balls deep, let's mention the time that he literally took drugs to get high that was gonna save his daughter's life. Uh, Irredeemable character.
irredeemable character. Hmm. I mean, I haven't gotten that far, so I don't know. How do I, react to that information? I only
Well,
know
that's much
about.
much later.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a lot later. I probably might forget about it, but I mean, I've listened to like, specifically Wubway's reading of Project Horizon, so continue reading that. I enjoy it. I'm sure others do as well. But I've like way back before I even got into Project Horizons. I think right after I finished Vanilla Fallout, um, I listened to like an overall because again I wasn't really paying attention. I think I was like cleaning out my garage at the time, so I wasn't really like paying attention all that much. But I listened to like overview of Project Horizon and stuff like that.
That must be like 5 hours long.
It was. I have to look for it because this was like, oh my gosh, it's like close to 3 years ago. So I don't even know if the freaking video, let alone channel, is still up. But it was just an overview. It was like an hour, part like 1 of 3 or something like that. So
3 hours is not enough time if they're all an hour.
probably
Telling you
not.
now.
Probably not. I mean, it's such, dude. The first chapter alone, at least the audio version of it, is like 2 hours. So yeah,
Yes, sir. Well, that's one of the shorter chapters.
yeah. So it's written differently. And again, I think what the vanilla suffers compared to the other stories that comes after was K-Cat was just throwing as much as possible to the wall, seeing what would stick, rather than
I
like,
mean, Sombra does that too.
yeah, but Sombra had the luxury of
Sombra.
whatever, I don't, the name's so similar: Deadeye, Red Eye, Pink Eye. You need to pick different names. Um, at least they had the luxury of seeing what worked in vanilla and what didn't, because they had all the feedback that I'm sure they read. I'm sure they read a lot of the feedback. Maybe not all of it, but they read a good portion of it to not, write about certain things, write about certain parts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's like
Oh, Sombra simps for the original. He knows it's in and out. I'm sure he did.
Yeah. And that's with every story, though, especially nowadays, seeing that there's just hundreds, if not thousands, of stories that we can, pick up, see what's good, what's bad, and just, borrow and steal and write our own story. Because I mean, there's no such thing as a original story. Everything is always being borrowed and stolen from something. Doesn't matter, from Star Wars to Fallout to Warhammer and Dune and Halo and just every franchise, you can see a lot of similarities. Some are done a lot better and some are done horrible, and then others are just straight up ripoffs that we just change the names and change some of the characters, and it's still the same damn story. So what I'm trying to say is, Fallout Equestria, as I always say, may not be the best story, but it started a massive subgenre that is still appreciated to this day. And Project Horizons, maybe, I mean, again, I haven't finished it just yet, but so far it is written a lot better compared to vanilla, which, as it should be, it should be written a lot better. It came out a bit afterwards, and you said it yourself. They know the ins and out of the story. I just wish it wasn't so long. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm sure we can cut down a lot of stuff and make it just as a good story as much as the other one. So, anything else you want to say, or we're done?
I still hate P21.
Hey, at least he explained it. Not like some of the people on the board that just say like, "Oh, you're dumb. I'm not gonna explain it." I mean, I'd rather have conversation. Sometimes on the board, I feel like I'm talking to the same like 4 or 5 people.
The board doesn't hate us enough already. Keep going.
They don't. They don't really care about us. We're like neutral. I'm just surprised that was it a couple of days ago somebody posted the background image we used on this show, and there was only like a few comments, but it was all positive. There was nothing bad about it.
You just call them comments instead of use.
It wasn't my post, so it's not a you.
Oh, it's then a them.
Yeah, I guess it's a them at this point. What else? Sometimes the show gets linked on the Fallout Equestria thread, and no one really says anything negative about it. The only thing I've heard is like, "Oh, it's really long. Why am I going to listen to this?" But I mean, some people.
Yeah, these niggas read Project Horizons like, oh, an hour-long video. That's too long.
Yeah, I know, right? Or you're listening to Project Horizons. But I mean, there's a difference between like listening to that than listening to two like ding dongs talking about a story. I mean, I'm just surprised that there are people besides Wubway that listen and leave comments. Like, I'm just surprised.
I love our fans.
I do too. I like to engage with them. But
yes, if Wubway can just admit that he wants to fuck P21, we can all move on. Right?
My God. Oh man, why do I feel like he's gonna like write a hate letter to you one of these days?
If it's as long as that one, I probably won't read it.
No, man. Maybe one of these days he can come in here and just explain, like, have a little special with him and talk about Project Horizons. I feel like those that not only read the story but put a whole audio version on like YouTube or whatever site they use probably have like the most um what is it leeway of saying if the story is good or not, because the amount of effort you have to read the story like that, and I'm sure he's not reading it dry. I'm sure this is probably like his second or third time reading it. um yeah, I think
All
they
right,
had what.
listen, Wubway. I will accept your P21 opinions if we can both agree that Blackjack is a based and cute man.
He probably might say that. He likes
I sure hope
blackjack.
so.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he likes blackjack.
I mean, he has to if he's gonna read the story more than once.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I wish Blackjack had a different design, but she suffers from like early OC syndrome, where they
No,
all.
he made it. He did that on purpose. He absolutely made her red and black OC on purpose. You're crazy.
No, but I'm talking about like the main style and stuff like that.
Oh, it's so pretty though. Shut up. It's better than Pip. At least she actually gets a description on like Pip in the story.
Pip, they have the same main style.
The
They have.
fuck you mean it? Hers isn't striped like that.
I'm saying style, not color.
All right, but listen, the story doesn't even give her a main style. That's just what latched on the artist latched on to.
Sure. I mean,
It's
even
like the default hairstyle.
yeah, we're on chapter 11, and besides making like the only physical traits that were described was I'm small and I have green eyes. It doesn't mention main style. It doesn't mention color or anything like that. Oh, well, the cutie mark 2 is mentioned. So for all we know, like little Pip might have a blue coat. She might have a red coat. She
She
might
might have
have
a
a.
giant Buddha cock.
Okay, we didn't say that, but
I did.
it's just interesting that they latched onto that. I think that could be a bonus episode. Maybe we'll take like a little break one of these days and just go over some of the art stuff. Maybe we can find an image or two that isn't, the way she's portrayed as. I'm not
But
really sure.
I cannot believe that I found the first little Pip art and I posted it in the channel where it got deleted by some menace.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
I don't know, man.
The criminal. Yeah, we could go over and like look at the oldest art and just see, you know, what it what transpired, I guess. I don't know why I'm just using random words here. But it's just interesting because for Blackjack's case, like they do describe her, so that's like it's fair enough to draw her the way she's portrayed as because they describe her in that way.
She got a very itchy mane. I know that.
Itchy mane. She said that her mane as well as the pattern of the care rep is her. Oh my gosh. The pattern of her mane is described as a candy cane. So I also understand why that pattern is there. She has a smaller horn. Um, of course they talk about the cutie mark, and then the what is it? The coat. Do they mention her having a white coat, or that's just
I'm 99% sure it's mentioned at least once in those 1.8 million words. Yeah.
because I see that as interesting. Because that's something what I did in my story as like a little side note, and then we'll wrap it up. The only reason why the color of my character is known to be like what is it, a violet color, is because they call her that because they don't know her name at first, so they just say, hey, Violet. you know she turns around, of course, like, that's my name. But I think it would be interesting to like continue the story, at least for vanilla, and see if they ever describe any other physical traits for little Pip, because we're on chapter what is it, 12 and 13 now, and not once have they mentioned more physical traits besides the ones we already know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
We
but
know she likes marriage, though. That's very important. Gotta know what he's
nah,
up.
yeah, that's very
Not what she
important.
looks like, though.
Mm-mm. Nope. I mean, for all we know, she's lying. She's not even little. She's massive.
Big pip.
Big pip. She had a growth spurt. You know. That's pretty much it. Unless you want to say something.
Uh, uh, shoot Velvet in the eyeball.
Hmm.
Because that's what you can do in 1 and 2. Exorcist are targeting sets. Or the groin. Either way, it'll be funny.
Bruh.
Hey man, blame the 1 and 2 devs. I didn't put that in.
Well, that's pretty much it for us. As per usual, thank you very much for listening and giving us your time. We'll see you all in the next one, and hopefully this doesn't ever happen again. So we'll be sure to upload the raw audio onto YouTube. And thank you to GS Random and Wubway for commenting on our videos consistently and giving us some feedback. We'll see you all in the next one, and have a good night.
Mayors.